Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a calm, documentary-style deep dive into the absolute mystique of a truly legendary fruit, the Black Madeira fig. If you spend any time at all in gardening or botanical circles, you've definitely heard the whispers about this one. We're going to explore exactly what it is, where it comes from, that legendary flavor profile, and why it demands such absolute obsession, especially from growers battling short, freezing climates. Let's just jump right into this botanical story. To really wrap your head around this fruit, you first have to understand its reputation. Go on any old internet forum like Figs for Fun or talk to modern growing communities today, and the Black Madeira is universally hailed as one of the best-tasting figs on the planet. It's the top-tier berry fig, the absolute holy grail for serious collectors. People don't just plant this tree, they collect it, they coddle it, and honestly, they obsess over it. But before we get to that insane flavor, let's talk botany for a second. The Black Madeira is a common fig, which means it's parthenocarpic. That's just a fancy way of saying it doesn't need to be pollinated by a specialized fig wasp to develop its main crop. And that is huge for growers living way outside the wasp's natural habitat. Because it's parthenocarpic, you can grow this tree completely isolated, thousands of miles from its ancestral home, and it'll still try to pump out that highly sought-after fruit. Now, when collectors talk about the Black Madeira, they're actually talking about a small, highly coveted family of clonal lines. You've got the UCD reference strain, which came straight from the UC Davis Botanical Collection. Then there's the KK clone, circulated by a private collector and known for being just a bit more vigorous. You'll also hear a lot about Figo Preto, a Portuguese variety so incredibly similar that many just consider it the exact same plant. And finally, the Madeira Island black types, local selections sharing those same dark-skinned, intense berry traits. But the one thing tying all these strains together, their ancestral home. And that story starts with an absolutely perfect baseline. The origin of this fig is Madeira Island, a gorgeous subtropical Portuguese island out in the Atlantic, just off the northwest coast of Africa. We're talking mild winters, warm summers, a beautiful maritime influence, and an incredibly long, completely frost-free growing season. The Black Madeira evolved to thrive in these exact, gentle conditions. By its very nature, this is a sun-loving, warm climate tree. And when you grow it in those perfect conditions, the tree gives you the ultimate prize. Slice open a fully ripe Black Madeira, and the interior is this syrupy, blood-red jam packed with an intense, wine-like berry flavor. This right here is why collectors go to such extreme lengths. The reward is a tasting experience that just completely blows standard grocery store figs out of the water. Let's look at the physical fruit for a second and how its actual structure protects that legendary flavor. It's a small to medium fig with a pear-like shape, turning deep purple, almost pitch black when it's fully ripe. But the absolute game changer is its tight eye. Unlike figs with wide open bottoms, the Black Madeira's tight eye naturally locks out insects and stops moisture from souring the fruit. It perfectly seals in that deep burgundy interior, while the seeds inside give you this noticeable, really satisfying crunch. So, what are we actually tasting here? Well, it boasts a super high Brix level, so it's incredibly syrupy and sweet. But we're not just talking about flat, boring sugar. About 45% of the profile hits you with intense strawberry, raspberry, and blackberry notes. Then a good 30% brings this incredibly sophisticated wine-like depth. Underneath that, you get rich caramelized sugar and little hints of dried fruit like dates or raisins. It is all perfectly balanced by just enough acidity to keep it tasting like a true berry rather than just overwhelming syrup. To really put this elite flavor into perspective, let's compare it to something most growers know well, the Chicago Hardy. Now, the Chicago Hardy is a total staple for cold climates, but the Black Madeira, it vastly outperforms it in complexity. You get a much deeper, syrupy, wine-like punch compared to the Chicago Hardy's pretty simple berry sugar vibe. But man, that flavor comes at a massive cost. The Chicago Hardy is tough as nails in the cold and ripens early. The Black Madeira is highly tender, incredibly sensitive to the cold, and notoriously late to ripen. And even if you compare it to other premium berry figs like the Violette de Bordeaux, the Black Madeira is just in a class of its own. The Violette de Bordeaux gives you a lighter berry profile and the huge perk of an earlier mid-season harvest. The Black Madeira produces a much heavier, more densely packed, jammy fruit. But again, here is the defining trade-off. Black Madeira is strictly a late-season fig.
Which brings us to the harsh conflict of our story. We've established that this plant is basically a late-ripening subtropical diva, genetically hardwired for the endless, warm autumns of a Mediterranean island. So what on earth happens when growers try to cultivate it in the frost-prone, super short summers of coastal Canada? Well, it turns into an intense, high-stakes botanical battle against the elements. This climate clash creates a massive headache for cold weather growers. See, figs usually produce two crops, an early breba crop on the old wood and a main crop on the new summer growth. But for the Black Madeira, that early breba crop is basically non-existent. It's weak and negligible no matter where you live. That means Canadian growers have to bet their entire season on the main crop. In a warm climate, that main crop ripens beautifully in late summer, but up in Canada, it pushes incredibly late. It becomes a highly marginal game, a literal race against the incoming autumn frost. It sets up this agonizing dilemma. On one hand, you get exceptional flavor, crazy high sugar, bug resistance, and the sheer prestige of actually pulling off a collector's item. But on the flip side, you're dealing with a fruit that takes forever to ripen, a tree that is incredibly prone to winter dieback if you don't protect it, and wildly inconsistent performance. Growers constantly have to endure what they call tease years, seasons where the tree sets a ton of gorgeous fruit, but the freezing weather hits before it ever gets a chance to sweeten. It's heartbreaking. So how in the world do they do it? To slay this climate dragon, serious cold weather growers can't just stick this tree in the dirt and cross their fingers. They have to use highly strategic interventions to literally cheat the short Canadian summer. They rely on creating meticulous artificial microclimates to stretch that growing season out as long as humanly possible. Let's walk through the exact protocol these Canadian growers use, because it is rigorous. Step 1. The fig goes into a massive mobile container, usually 15 to 30 gallons. Step 2. They deliberately haul these heavy pots right up against a south-facing wall to soak up every ounce of solar heat. Step 3. They enhance that heat by using reflective surfaces, think white walls or light-colored gravel, to bounce extra sunlight right back up into the canopy. And finally, step 4. Right before that fatal first frost drops, the grower physically drags these huge containers into an unheated greenhouse or garage. It buys the plant just enough borrowed time to finish ripening. But it's not just about extreme temperature control. You also have to expertly manage the soil and nutrition. Because these trees live in pots, the soil has to be this perfectly well-draining, loamy mix packed with perlite or pumice. And water? You have to keep it perfectly even. If you let it swing from bone dry to completely soaked, the ripening fruit will literally split open or dilute its flavor. Also, growers have to be super careful with nitrogen. If you give a Black Madeira too much nitrogen, the tree just wants to push out lush green leaves, which pushes your already late fruit harvest even further into the danger zone of winter. Then, when the fruit finally sets and you've somehow protected it from the frost, you need extreme patience. This is absolutely crucial. The Black Madeira must be allowed to fully ripen on the tree. You're looking for incredibly soft skin, a heavy droop in the neck of the fig, and a slight wrinkling or cracking on the outside. If you get impatient and pick it even a day under ripe, you completely ruin the magic. You end up with a bland, unspectacular fig that totally misrepresents what this variety can do. You have to wait per perfection. So why go through all this? Despite the intense labor, the backbreaking work of moving 30-gallon pots, the constant threat of winter dieback, and the absolute heartbreak of tease years, this fig remains the ultimate payoff. It is the gold standard, the benchmark for world-class flavor. For serious growers, tasting this teaches you the profound difference between a fig that's just good and one that is absolute perfection. It brings genuine excitement back to the orchard. And honestly, it's just the pure joy of conquering an impossible botanical challenge. Which leaves us with this final thought. When all those insanely precise conditions finally align, when your microclimate works, the soil is dialed in, the frost holds off just long enough, and you finally taste that syrupy, blood-red, wine-like interior, it leaves every cold climate grower facing one profound question. Is experiencing the world's best fig truly worth the monumental struggle to get it there? Well, we'll leave that for you to decide.